As one mighty creator falls, another rises from the ashes, ready to be much more destructive than the last. We have yet another story of a creator damaging their body in the sake of content. By chasing the view counter, she's growing more desperate and outlandish with every video that she makes. And in the process, she's satisfying one of the darkest parts of the internet in some of the worst ways possible. JellyBean.Sweets could be worse than Nikocado Avocado, and she needs to stop. So hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Jake Baz, and today we're going to be running blind down a very dark alley. JellyBean.Sweets is a massive creator on the TikTok platform, and on the face of it, she just does mukbang content. But the longer that you look, the more excruciatingly sad everything turns out to be. She's been compared to Nikocado Avocado, and she's even been called his sister, and that's for very good reasons. She seems to be somewhat of a protege of Nikocado Avocado, seeing what he's done and then following in the footsteps. She was once an active girl doing lifestyle content as well as like dancing, drizzled in with a odd bit of mukbangs. But as the food content blew up and she saw how well it was doing, she seemed to chase it more and more and more, to points honestly that I'll never understand. Leaving us here now with content which some would describe as feeder content, kink talk, where people in this depraved nature are wanting to actively fatten up the influencer in some sick kind of way of sexual gratification. And not only does it appear that this seems to be happening, but she's also feeding into it a lot. We've got so much to unpack here, so if you enjoy the video, please do hit the like button and subscribe. I'd love to see you back. We're getting to 30k and it helps out the channel a lot. So Nikocado Avocado came out last week and he managed to say that this was all a ruse and everyone had been played. And it really made me think about JellyBean.Sweets because she is not playing anyone. There's also, as I say, so much similarity in the content that they produce and also the dark alley that they went down, starting from this very fresh, clean person going into these dirty, disgusting sort of mukbang videos. She's a 20-year-old TikToker, influencer, and mukbanger who has 1.7 million followers on TikTok, which is fucking loads. But not only that, it's evident from the amount of views that you can see on her previous content that it's only getting better for her. Like, she's just blowing up recently. And the reasons why are very sinister. Over the last few weeks, she's gained 300,000 followers as well as over 4 million likes on all of her videos. But the problem is here, people aren't logging into her content to see what she's doing and enjoy herself. They are genuinely worried about this girl. Because the path of where she came from to how she is now is genuinely terrifying, and it really does ask questions about the morality of the stuff that she's doing. At first, when she started off her content, it did seem to be a lot more innocent, with her just going up, for example, here, painting herself and going on TikTok live and just showing her artistic expression. It was somewhat wholesome, it was innocent, it was a girl who's always seemed to have a bright spark in her, and a lot of people at the time genuinely did latch onto her at first because of the way that she projected herself. She also, in typical TikTok fashion, was a dancer who would go and do dance routines, this sort of thing, which is obviously something that's very pushed on the app, and it's something that a lot of people like to see and watch for inspiration, which, bear in mind as well, you've seen the drastic change of how she has been, and this is just over 1 year ago. Like I said as well, she'd focus on very typical influencer things, such as haul videos like this one here.
I just went shopping, so let me show you what I got. So from TJ Maxx, I got this like pre-workout. I never take pre-workout, but it was $10 and I was like, might as well try it.
Workouts seem to have been second nature for her in the past, but that has very much disappeared entirely from all of her content in the past few months, with much more of this instead.
From Kroger, I got these. I've become obsessed with these since I've started college, and they're like my happy snack. I also got these, which are like so good. I didn't know they made them in the like larger sizes.
As you can see though, watch her demeanor, watch how she acts and how bright of a spark she seems to be, and how that changes over time with what she's doing. Like I said, just your typical influencer. She would go on lives, she would do this sort of stuff where she's just there talking to the camera, talking about life, just being a really positive influence, which is totally in like a dichotomy of what she's like now. There doesn't seem to be like a switch in her content where she just ended up turning into this person overnight. It was very much a slow introduction, and there's two instances here which I've found which sort of bring out who she is and what has she become. Because in my opinion, she definitely started going down the experimental avenues to try and earn money from this, as you'll see throughout the entirety of the video, the ways that she has tried to explain what she's doing as well as bat it off. One of the big points about her and what switched is that she was a pescatarian, but as you've seen from some of the B-roll, not anymore. This was roughly just over a year ago. She tried her first chicken sandwich and that was it.
And me and my sister were talking about it in the car, and we thought it was going to be so expensive. I paid about $24, but I got a lot of food. And the cheese dip, so good.
Just to notice with the sounds that she's making, all this, that, the other, she's definitely starting to bring this new idea of herself to the fore. Whether or not she thinks that she's just a messy eater, I don't know.
I'm a pescatarian, so I've never eaten chicken, but eat wing stuff with me. So I got quite a bit because I ordered it through Uber Eats, so I got $20 off my first order. So it was really inexpensive to get the things I wanted today. Alright, so this is the first box. This looks like the cheese fries, which I actually got from my sister.
So she got a lot of food. She made it into a proper mukbang, and this obviously only continues and gets much worse. But also note, like she said there, she's a pescatarian. At this point, she has only eaten fish as a choice. So this is an introduction to chicken, and since then, no looking back. Remember as well that we can pull quite a few similarities with Nick Avocado here, because Nick Avocado was a vegan. He would only choose to eat certain foods, and then once he had his life open to all of this horrible junk food, especially in America, it changed massively. And just to think that this bite here changed it all, it's just so weird.
I'll try the garlic parmesan first. Wow, they're still hot. Okay.
And that was it. And that is the face of destruction that is about to come. From this, she would start uploading more and more videos of her just simply eating food, eating big amounts of food and responding around it. She would do an introduction where she shows a haul of what she's got by talking about it, and then she would do a simple ASMR sort of mukbang. And I think the ASMR section of what she was doing, which she really seems to have focused on in recent months since this has all happened, is quite astounding. Because when you talk about King Talk with all of the Feederism stuff we're going to get into, it really does paint a picture of, well, that's exactly what she's doing. She's feeding into it, if you'll pardon the pun. Quite a lot of her content now consists of her doing stuff like this, where you are just quiet, just totally eating, and that's fair enough. But this evolution really did go down south, because she was constantly doing this because it kept getting views, and once you're chasing the view counter, this is when things get slightly more desperate, slightly more outlandish, and in this case, it's not ended up well. Because as you can see, this is her first video that she uploaded when she was 19, just over a year ago. And I checked this just to double check, because I honestly couldn't believe it when I saw it. It's definitely a bit of a bad angle, but this is her at 20, just over a year later. Which is something that a lot of people do tend to gain over time, like it is sort of a slow process. So for a year, such a drastic change in her body is actually insane. Until you look at her channel, you realize the TikToks and you see how often she's doing this. At some point she's doing it literally daily, and it seems to have become not only like an obsession in herself to get views, but also some sort of like food obsession, and she needs to eat this shit all the time. And like with Nico Avocado, it gets really overwhelming, it gets really outlandish, and it really only damages the actual person. But with all of this Kink Talk stuff going on, it makes it just, so much worse. I've got another before and after here where this is obviously her in the video that I showed earlier as the introduction, where she went on TikTok live. She looks happy, she looks good, she's got a very good jawbone, like that is very prevalent, and she does seem like a vibrant character. And this has just totally flip-flapped within the space of a couple of months. Because as you can see here, she's a lot more washed out and flushed in her face. She's got a very round facial structure compared to before. And like I said, this has so many people worried because it is such a massive transformation over the course of even a couple of months at this point. It seems to have exploded. But everything, as I say, is entirely because of the way that she creates content. She creates this content which is constantly trying to one-up itself, and it's only going worse and worse over time. How many times can you eat a skinny burrito until then you start eating 2 burritos, 3 burritos, and then it really gets outlandish? It's not healthy at all for the person, and with everything else around it, it's so bad. Like I said, with a lot of the people around it, it's more a cause of concern because they're seeing this person literally blow up in front of their eyes, and it does remind them a lot of like Nikocado Avocado, but this seems to be much faster than him, if I remember correctly, and that's obviously helped by everything she does, but it is already getting so outlandish. One example of that's here, which for your amazing convenience I'm going to play on muted for 10 seconds. I'm really sorry. It's obviously already getting really sloppy. In this video, she's got a belly out showing, which is another feeder thing, and it looks disgusting. Look at that food. How can you even call that food at that point? That just looks like a mess. Because like I said, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Adding more stuff, more sauce to everything. As you can see, 2 hash browns this time, started with 0. It's just getting bigger and bigger. All the amount of foods that she's eating, the type of foods, and it's looking a lot more unhealthier as the days go on. And if you haven't clocked already, there is a solid reason why this is the case. It's not exactly because she's trying to follow in Nikocado Avocado's footsteps. I think it's very monetarily right as to why she's doing it in her mind. And the unfortunate reason is feeder content, which is something that really you don't want to be on that side of, of the internet. Oh my god. Because it's not only something that is dark, depraved, and disgusting, in my opinion, it's also something that is very dangerous to the creator over time. Feederism is something that is disgusting because of the way that it comes about. So-called feeders, mostly men, although not exclusively, flock to online platforms including Reddit, Feedbit, and Fantasy Finder to find feedies, mostly women who will eat huge amount of foods on camera or in person. One of the apps has 97,000 people on there. So it is essentially a micro kink within a cosm of the sexual community online. And this has been tied to JellyBean.Sweets because of what it is. The women involved can make thousands of dollars selling their content to men desperate for sexual gratification. These feeder videos have one simple and consistent theme. The women post videos of themselves eating, usually with plenty of loud biting and chewing noises. Often they perform naked or wearing revealing outfits. Sometimes they feed or are fed by someone else. This is something that's definitely been tied to Nikocado Avocado, and it really does seem the case here even more. And the reasons why this content is wrong and bad is very obvious, because you are trying to fatten up someone for your own sexual gratification. And the creator, in doing all of these eating videos of blowing up in size and getting much wider, has a lot of health consequences around it. One feeder in a Daily Mail article said, "I developed diabetes, I could barely walk, I was very sick, nauseous and dizzy all the time." And this content is usually something that is behind and hidden through paywalls, but obviously in the case of JellyBean.Sweets, it's just open and out there. Today, the global demand for sexualized feeding content has grown vast, as there are at least 30,000 feeding related accounts on OF alone. And with this only comes more worry for the actual content creator that is participating in this, such as JellyBean.Sweets, but also the fact that it keeps on going. There's not really no end point to feederism. You sort of do it and you do it and you do it, you get fatter and fatter, and the fatter that you become, the more accepted you become to these people. It's a very weird form of gratification, and it's a very, very unhealthy one, which is why so many people are worried about her. And her content, like I said, really does play into it, especially recently. Like I said, it's getting sloppier, it's getting more disgusting to watch, it's just getting more calorific in general. There's more and more instances of her eating more stuff. Like I say, there's people that are saying that she's now showing her belly, which she is in multiple videos, which is another thing that feeders love to see. And that's mainly where the concern comes from, because it is so weird, it's so wrong. And the problem for people is that she was this happy, outgoing, outlandish person who used to go out, she used to dance, she used to be really active, and now she's gaining weight massively for this attention in any form that she can. She's chasing the views and she's chasing the money, and it's evident to see that, and it really does ask a question as well, is she intentionally doing this for feederism? And in my opinion, I feel like she is, but there's not also that there's been somewhat evidence of proof. She's playing into it, she's potentially becoming infatuated in it, and she is also getting monetary gains from it. As it seems one creator has exposed her for doing feeder content, messaging her saying, do you do customs? And then her saying, what do you mean by customs? Custom mukbangs. How much would you like to pay? And how would you want me to eat? Obviously exposing herself there, if these DMs are true, to be an exclusively custom mukbanger, which really is batting around the idea of being a feeder. This person then said, I'm willing to pay $150 for a messy burrito, saying, can you make it like this one but with more liquid? And as I said, more and more of her mukbangs are becoming very, very disgusting in that sense. They're becoming a lot more messy, which really is not helping the case that this is some form of like public sexual gratification going on. JellyBean.Sweets then responding, yes, I ordered quite a few sauces, it's going to be messy, saying, I actually ordered Taco Bell, it's coming in 10 minutes, I'll be willing, I can post it on TikTok like I do, emphasizing, yes, not talking, only eating, with her then saying, yes, I ordered quite a few sauces, it'll be messy, and for the payment, could you just order me some stuff off my wish list? That's easier for me. Because this seems to be something that she has done in the past. She doesn't have her wish list fully open and available now. I don't know why. It seems to be because of all of this feeder content that is going on and everyone's accusing her of doing this. But what she would end up doing is getting people to order off her Amazon wish list, which would then act as a payment for feeder content, which obviously means there is no direct trace to being like, oh yeah, this is definitely feeder content, you are paying for me to get messy and this sort of sense. It's like, oh no, you buy me a gift, so I'm gonna reward you by doing this. It just makes the paper trail a bit easier, and it hides the true identity of what she's doing, with her then liking the love heart of the okay message. I've seen a lot of stuff recently around the problems of kink talk, of TikTok with kinks, and it really does seem like this is another instance of that, but it's not only another instance that's very open and seen as, it's kind of hidden in the background. She's not going out there and she's saying that I'm doing it for this exact case, but it really seems like it. But it also worries people a lot because this is someone who is appearing as a very innocent character in very innocent natures, when really every bit of content has a very sinister undertone. This is another gripe that you see a lot of people talk about with her content. For example, here with As a Strict Mum of 10-year-old twins, one of them being very impressionable, who is starting to hit the age of worrying about weight. This just makes me stand my ground 100 times harder when I get the looks from other people when I say I don't let kids have any form of social media. I don't ever want my kids to see this and be influenced to develop such harmful relationships with food and think it's normal, or be persuaded to try it to be famous. It's so terrifying and unhealthy. And like you see with how much she is actually blowing up at the moment, it really does make a bit of confusion because, yeah, she really is becoming a bit of an impression at 1.7 million. And as you can see, it's a very horrible relationship with food in the form of a mukbang, especially a very messy, dirty one. Some people on the internet seem to be a little too easily influenced, and I mean, you only got to go in her comments to see that people are really resonating with this content. As you can see here, I don't normally eat Taco Bell, but she had me at the drive-thru the other day. Literally went to Taco Bell because of her. Unfortunately, I am just JellyBean.Sweets. I cannot blame her for my takeout habits. Literally me going to Taco Bell today for the first time in months. Whether or not you think something just as like a silly sort of recording where she's just eating a lot of food is seen as innocent or not, it's undeniable to say that she is not influencing in at least some forms this sort of content, where people will go out and they will do the exact same thing, try and eat as much shit as they can. And as I do personally think that some people should be able to try and look after themselves and work themselves around in that way, it definitely does give a bit of an implicit sort of tone to it. And like I also said, it's just so weird when you consider the content is actually connotated. But this one incident isn't isolated, and there is multiple other experiences which show that she definitely is doing this for the feeders. There is one instance here of her going onto her followers and seeing the feeders that are in the content that she is posting. And although I don't think this directly links in the sense of that, well, obviously feeders are going to be attracted to females online that are doing this type of content anyway, whether or not they're doing it for feeding or not. It does show at least that people are hanging around her that are in that sort of sphere. But then also there is proof of this one specific person, who is New England Feeder 602, being the top gifter for her on her previously used content on Throne, which was her wish list for everything. Throne as well, may I add, is something that a lot of social creators use who are in the OF sphere, places like that. People who do plus 18 content generally tend to use Throne because it is a way of giving away gifts very easily. Here we can also see her wish list with what she wants, including in this one instance lingerie, which I find a little bit weird. Like, obviously linking the two, would I want people going and buying me lingerie? No, why would you want your content creators? Why would you want that? You don't really want your audience buying you that sort of stuff, because that's obviously very odd. And once again, links to the sexualized nature of it, because she wants people to go and buy her this sort of stuff and potentially maybe even see her in it. Once again, just linking the sexual nature of it to this, but then also the fact that, well, this feeder's paying for her, it does add a little bit more context there. Especially when you saw, as with the DMs of her saying, just buy stuff off Amazon wishlist, well, I'll buy this stuff, you know? It's at least a little bit weird. But then she was also spotted on social media liking a post which really does link the two even further, with a user saying, nah, it's the weirdos with fat fetishes who are paying this girl, someone saying exactly, and then she likes the comment exactly. She's calling them weirdos and oddballs, and I mean, I can kind of get that. I definitely do think they are that, but you're playing exactly into their playbook. You are allowing this sort of content. You're not only allowing it, you're actively engaging in it and wanting to do more and more. But also, would I want to be actively engaging, promoting, bringing people in that want this sort of like very weirdly depraved stuff? No, of course I wouldn't. Especially if in the JellyBean.Sweets case, I am a very positive woman who wants to be outreached. I want to be doing dancing and stuff. And it's definitely an intentional pivot from her channel to go down this avenue to try and get more money. And this is definitely something that has been spotted very recently with her content, where people are noticing that it is going down and down a spiral, and it's just getting worse, more outlandish, and it's only going one way, and that is to promote this feeder content, which then in turn gets her more money. Ignoring all of the moralities of, like, you know, just pretending this is a nice, innocent little thing that she's just doing. It's weird. And this was getting spotted months ago, with loads of people on Reddit talking about this and really trying to show and expose her for what she's doing. One example I have here, I've realized I see a lot of people over the internet say there's no way JellyBean could be catering to feederism because she doesn't show a body. In my opinion, this one fact alone makes it a million times more likely she is in fact purposely catering to feeders. It's like any kink, only so much can be shown for free and only so much can be put onto a platform as accessible as TikTok. Which is true, but as we've seen since this post, she has started posting slightly more bits of her body as she does manage to get larger, which supersedes this because it's essentially proving even further that she's doing this intentionally. Going on also to say that I think for the people who like funding JellyBean, they also love the control of knowing they're the only ones who can actually see her properly. And I'm not sure about that one. There's nothing that I've seen so far which can prove that she is doing this on the side. She's sending photos to people, but obviously this is going to be something that is quite well hidden intentionally. But you would have thought with the amount of internet detectives going on nowadays, there'd at least be one that has managed to infiltrate this. So I don't think this is the case. I feel like she's just catering for feeders because it makes her a lot of money, and that's it, really. It's nothing to do with her trying to get like extracurricular stuff going on. I don't think any of that's the case. This specific Reddit user also signed off with something which is generally quite harrowing around her. I'm sure that all the money looks great now, but in experience of doing things they are morally dubious or that you don't agree with for money is something that you can't undo and can't make yourself forget about. And that's also the point with trying to look after her and make sure that she gets better from this, because it's only going downhill, and she will look at the money and she'll look at the money and think this is going really, really well, but over time this is going to dissipate. You might be making 20, 30, 40 grand a month maybe for a few months, but then once it all dissipates and destroys, because this is inevitably something that happens with these sort of channels, it's gonna really turn bad and you're gonna be a 21-year-old who then has no clue how to navigate the world. Sitting here for hours on ends just trying to get the next big dirty meal that you can eat. It's really a good idea looking at it because you're getting millions of views, but how much longer is that going to last? And I think in her case, once everything gets blown off the top, not long. Because it is true that a lot of the controversy surrounding her and a lot of the interest surrounding her is purely because she's doing this type of content on a public platform and people are not only worried for her, they also find it quite disgusting. She definitely plays into this, she loves it, she enjoys it, and for example here we've got a calorie counter for one of the things that she is doing, because as I say, it just keeps getting worse.
So I knew she did these like pretty regularly, but I didn't know she did this literally for her meals of the day. So let's see what the calorie count on her breakfast is looking like. So to start off the morning, what's a better way than taking down 6 donuts?
The thing is with this stuff as well, you can't argue that she didn't do it because she did. She does it on camera, so it's not even a bit. Like, she has gone and eaten all of this shit just in one day.
And for the last donut, this is the raspberry vanilla cream. A slight little 350 calories.
Can you imagine like actually eating this just for a breakfast? Like, can you actually imagine it? I don't think I need to tell you how unhealthy that is, but even just trying to think about how I'm gonna eat that much in the morning just fills me with dread. And I'm only 5'7", so I can imagine that these are gonna add up to my entire daily calories for the day.
To take all those donuts down, you already know she had to take an Alani energy drink. I can respect that she picked the Cosmic Stardust because that's hands down the best flavor Alani has. Now for her breakfast mukbang, this comes out to 1,710 calories.
And you see with her, with the content, it's not that, it's the fact she'll have that for breakfast, she'll probably skip lunch, and then she'll have something for dinner as well, because that'll double down on what she's doing, and it's disgusting. Like, it is disgusting how you can eat that much food. When you understand the connotations of it all, like, it's a really slippery slope. Sometimes JellyBean.Sweets will upload 2 times, 3 times in a day, and when it gets to that point, how are you even, like, how's your arsehole? Fucking hell. I feel really sorry for your toilet bowl. And even now, 3 days ago, as you can see, she's doing a side profile now. She's making sure she gets her stomach in, and she's yamming this. I don't even know. The food is looking more and more unlike food. It's so pale. It's so lacking in colour. Like, I don't know. It's something about it. It's just, ugh. Bear in mind as well, this is while she's on holiday. So while she's on holiday, she's finding places that she can do these disgusting, like, drip-on foods. And for the sake of content, how much further are you going to go down this path? How can you even make it further? And it does really reminisce to Nikocado Avocado. As much as so many people are seeing him as a hero and a supervillain even at some points for what he has done, because he's just managed to come out and be like, oh no, I'm not fat anymore, good luck. There's absolutely no doubt that throughout the entirety of these videos that he had pre-recorded and brought forward, it was very odd. It was a chase for views, so it was getting more outlandish, it was getting dirtier, it was getting massive, bigger and bigger, and exactly like JellyBean.Sweets. And in the process, both of them get bigger, both of them get much more unhealthy, both of them end up going down and spiraling due to their mental health. And then what do you have left? What do you have left in you? You've just got this shell. And you can come back and you can say, like, for example, in Nikocado Avocado's case, that, oh, well, this was just for content, you've been rused. And I might have been rused, but I also have noticed that you have probably taken a significant amount of your life away by chasing this. And why I think JellyBean.Sweets might be even worse is that she doesn't do this outlandish shouting, screaming. She's not like Nikocado Avocado in that way. She's very silent in a sense. She's very uncontroversial. She will be as positive as she can be on camera, and then when it comes to it, she's still eating all this shite, and she's still promoting it in a more malleable way. It's more of an introductory way. It's something that kids can see a lot easier and think that this is more normal. It's a bad influence on children. It's a bad influence on children, especially when you link the feeder content aspect to it, and it's all just weird. On top of all the feeder stuff that she's been doing, she has also been promoted on feeder apps such as here, with Bellyfan 2017 posted about her. They do have some creative names, don't they? Bellyfan. I don't know if I can stomach this. With even these feeders Feederism saying, will certainly contribute to this one though. She's really fattened up in a year. Obviously making it much more palatable to these people who find this sexually gratifying. With also comments like, she's getting so beautifully thick and can't wait to see more. Which is just... I don't know. Maybe I'm on the wrong side of the internet, but I find this so weird. As someone who was previously 15 stone, there's nothing fun with being unhealthy. And even the feeders are preempting what is about to come. She's definitely getting thick, and unfortunately, she's going to have to stick to gorging herself on thousands of calories of fast food to stay relevant. She's just not that interesting enough otherwise of a person to carry a channel otherwise. Good for us and bad for her, I suppose. They love it. They're happy that she's managing to eat a load of shit to stay relevant. And exactly like I say, this is going to happen. She's going to try and eat more and more food because it's going to make her at least somewhat still relevant, because if she's posting the exact same things again and again and again, people will lose interest. And this is the cyclical nature of social media. This is what happens when people manage to blow up big off of these sort of gimmicks. They just need to do more outlandish stuff. You saw this, for example, with prank videos such as Rowan Atwood, where he pretended that his kid had passed away as some form of like funny prank for a family channel. Yeah, brilliant. It's the exact same thing. She's gonna have to bring more and more food to the table, quite literally, or there's gonna be problems for her staying relevant for so long. She also has been feeding, pardon the pun, into it a bit more. For example, here saying, when the hate comments pay for my trip. Not that they're necessarily hate comments, they are more so comments that are tailored towards the fact that you're doing this for sexual gratification, and it's a bit odd, whilst also totally ignoring the fact that you are doing it for that case. With the captions being, out here living my best life, and I genuinely can't imagine what the 19-year-old dancer would think about you doing this sort of stuff and calling it your best life. That sounds a lot like copium. In my opinion, it feels like she's just ignoring the fact of what she's actually doing to herself because she thinks that she's winning. She's winning at life, but you're not. You're not winning. The only way is down here. Also, with TikToks like this about learning to love myself, making sure that she's traveling, she's going out, she's loving herself, she's looking after herself in that sense. But you're supposedly loving yourself whilst also actively damaging yourself every day by doing this type of content. You see where there's a little bit of a discrepancy there? It's just evident to me that it is really coping with the situation at hand, because she is really going off the rails and then she's trying to say that she's still on them. When in fact, in an act of desperation for more money, you're deciding to go down these darker paths. Money can change people. Money definitely does change people, but does it end up with you like this? I don't think it should. Also, posting stuff like this with her act to black out the haters, saying, did they hear what you said about you? Well, I don't know. Did you? By then going, yes, and, well, I'm enjoying my life. Look at everything that's going on that's beautiful around it. And I feel this is what a lot of people do when they end up getting a lot of money and they done it in very irrelevant means. They try to prove to everyone that, well, I am enjoying myself, I am having a lovely time, this is amazing, when in reality you're at home every night checking your phone and wondering why it's all gone wrong. From looking at her content, it is evident that she has always wanted to be, or at least up until she started doing her content, she's always wanted to be an influencer. She's always wanted to be one of these people that just gets off on social media, and I'm sure a lot of people in the world do think that. Seems like a comfy, easy job, right? But I don't think this one's easy, and I think what you're doing is a lot harder, because in the sake of becoming relevant, you are destroying your body. For example, in this video here showing that finally buying a camera to live out my childhood dream of being an influencer, something that you have looked up to for years. And it is so exciting. It's such an exciting moment when you get to finally become something that you really want to do in life. But did childhood JellyBean.Sweets think at this point, yeah, this is what I want to be doing. I want to be eating a load of food on TikTok to sexually gratify older men, whilst also posing it as an innocent, happy-go-lucky content? No, I don't think they did. A lot of people have also said around her content that she is earning loads of money because she's getting absolutely parabolic amount of views, but that's not the case. Well, it is, but it isn't at the same time. This can be seen in her Taco Bell mukbang a couple of months ago, where she showed this.
There's some funny videos going around saying, I make, what was it, 250K? I wish. I so wish. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. RPM is like how much you're paid per 1,000 views. My RPM is always below 10 cents. At least for the first week of the month, it might be like 30, 40 cents. And then as the month goes on, it lowers drastically. So right now, my average RPM is 7 cents. Do the math, you can do the math. But yeah. Not 250.
I do think this really does prove the fact that she feels she has to keep doing these extravagant videos because the amount of money that she's making is very minuscule compared to what you look at and see, oh, she must be on loads. It's still an absolute ton of money that she's making. I did her last 5 videos and then managed to work it out, and it came out to about $1,000 off of like 15 million views, which is not that much money, but then you realize that this is in the past 2 days. So she keeps uploading and she's constantly churning out content. She'll easily be making what, like 10, 20, 30 grand months, but this is why she's feeding into the algorithm. She's feeding this constant, like, deep dive level of just shit, where she's constantly eating shit, she's constantly going forward, and obviously that also shows how much money that she's making because she can keep doing that. As long as she's got an empty stomach, she can keep churning it through. And then it really does make sense. Well, within the last 2 days, she's done 5 videos, and as you can see on her page, if you go on it, it's very, very active. She is constantly going through stuff. She will be making a lot of money, but she will also be fully bloating her belly the entire way through because she's gonna keep doing it as long as she gets a load of money.
I would be sad. We're not even through the year and y'all think I made 250? I mean, I still make, like, obviously, I think I mentioned this before. I quit my part-time job. Like, I make more than I was making there.
Sorry for the chewing noises. I absolutely hate it. But yeah, as we've gone out, she said you do the math, and I've done the math, and it's very evident that you are making a lot more money than that. You are making so much more money than a part-time job. Easily, in my opinion, 6 figures this year, but not close to 250,000, I don't think. And as you show, this shows you to live and not just survive, and it really does because you get to do so much more things with the amount of disposable income that you get. But once again, we pivot to the fact that what you are doing is so damaging for yourself, and also it is a very weird circumstance that's on TikTok because I swear down I barely see any of this shit that's aimed at like kids. It's a bit confusing why she's pretending that she doesn't earn as much money as we all think she does, but I guess she's going to try and hide behind a veil. And even though she doesn't, like we've talked about, she's got a wish list and she gets stuff from that wish list, and not only that she gets stuff, she also shows it off when she gets it, which, bear in mind, when we talk about the feeder content, like she's getting this stuff bought so that she can end up doing these feeder videos which then sexually gratifies people, doing a bit of a anniversary tour, going around like, oh, look at this brand new prize that I've got from someone who is a feeder, is a bit weird.
My new DJI Osmo Pocket 3 camera with me. I am beyond excited. Thinking about buying this for a little while now because it's literally a pocket camera. So it's really small, but it's got many settings and it's got a little gimbal too.
Remember that she didn't buy this. This was on her Amazon wish list, so she'll have defo got it bought for her to do a feeding video. JellyBean.Sweets really does hide what she does, in my opinion. I really do think that she is doing this stuff to promote feeding content, which is sexually gratifying, but also it brings in a lot more extra money towards her. Because it's not only from the feeders who are gifting her and giving her this money, it is also from everyone that is screaming around her saying that she is doing this feeding content, and she's playing into it. She's keeping it brash. She's not really addressing the controversy at hand apart from, oh, look at the haters. And the only times that she has like directly addressed it is one by accident by talking to someone in DMs about doing feeding content, but also by saying that the people that do appreciate it in this sort of sense are weird. Well, why are you doing it then? Why do you want to be feeding the weirdos? It's just a question. On her TikTok a couple of weeks ago, she posted this: what if I never made a video trying chicken for the first time? And like we said, she used to be a pescatarian and now she is a carnivore. I think we need to ask that question too, because it is very pivotal in what has happened to her and how she has become how she is. It's because of the fact that she has done this stuff for so long. She had a bite of chicken, it changed her life, and then she's pivoted and gone further and further down this spiral where now we're at a point where she's just gaining weight, it seems, every single week, and there's nothing no one could do about it. But not only nothing that we could do about it, I really feel like she's not only playing into it. I feel like she actually enjoys it now. I think she enjoys the attention that it brings from people pretending that this is what's going on. Or at least in her mind, pretending, because it's not pretending. This is what's happening. I do think as time goes along, it's just going to get more and more outlandish. There's going to be more and more sources, and we are going to be watching a Nikocado Avocado type of beat. It's legit going to be the exact same thing, just over the course. But I think this time it'll turn out that the person wasn't actually lying about how big they are and how outrageous they are. It was all for content. This isn't going to happen in JellyBean's case. Because she's on TikTok, she's got so many videos to do, it's going to be impossible for her to do something like that. She's just going to spiral, and I think at one point we're going to hit breaking point, and we might end up getting some sort of rant, some sort of outrage, as she manages to get worse every single video. I hope for JellyBean.Sweets she at least tones it down a little bit and stops praying to the feeders, because not only that, she's a massive TikToker who's going to be plastered on so many people's For You pages, including children. Not only setting a bad precedent around how we eat food and how it should be normalized to not eat like this, but also in the fact of the sexual gratification that comes from watching feeder content from all of these weirdos. Stop playing into it, look after yourself, get healthy, and please stop. But what do you all think? Do let me know in the comments. I've been JBaz. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the like, subscribe, all that jazz. Would love to see you back. And yeah, I'll see you later. Take care.